Take a slow, deep breath. Inhale the quiet of this moment. And as you exhale, let the world fall away. Let's begin with a question. A question not for your mind, which is so often busy with answers, but for the deepest, most silent part of you. What truly nourishes you? Not what distracts you or entertains you or temporarily fills a void, but what genuinely, fundamentally feeds your soul. Consider this. What nourishes you when everything else is taken away? When the titles, the roles, and the responsibilities you wear like clothing are gently removed and set aside. When the carefully constructed identity, built from achievements and expectations, is no longer required. When you are not a parent, a partner, an employee, or a friend, but simply you, a consciousness breathing in a quiet room. What remains when the noise fades? The endless scroll of opinions, the urgent headlines, the constant hum of notifications demanding your attention. When the cacophony of the outside world recedes, and even the chatter of your own mind begins to soften. In that profound and perhaps unfamiliar silence, what is the one true sound you can hear? What is the rhythm of your own being? What is left when the striving stops? The relentless pursuit of more. The endless race towards a future that is always just over the horizon. The constant effort to prove, to improve, to become. When you finally lay down the heavy burden of ambition and simply allow yourself to be right here, right now, without needing to be anything else. What feeling arises in that space of surrender? And when the world no longer asks you to perform? When the curtain falls on the grand stage of your life, the audience goes home, and the applause dies down. When there is no one left to impress, no role left to play, no mask left to wear. In the raw, honest, unadorned truth of your own presence, what remains? This is the journey we are on. The journey inward, to rediscover that which truly sustains us. And so the question becomes, what truly nourishes the soul? In a world that relentlessly pulls us outward, that measures our worth by our productivity and our visibility, the answer is not found in adding more. It is found in returning to the source, returning to the quiet, unshakable center that exists within each of us. The answer is stillness. Stillness is nourishment. Not the stillness of inactivity or emptiness, but a deep, resonant stillness that is full of life. It is the quiet hum of the universe, the space between your thoughts, the pause between breaths. We have been taught to fear this space, to fill it with noise, with tasks, with distractions. We see it as a void to be conquered. But the soul understands it differently. The soul knows that this stillness is not a void, but a vessel. It is the fertile ground where clarity can take root, where intuition can blossom, and where we can finally hear the gentle, persistent whisper of our own truth. To be still is to give yourself the profound gift of your own undivided attention. It is to say, I am here, I am present for this one sacred moment. In that stillness, the frantic energy of the world begins to settle. The anxieties about the future and the regrets of the past soften their grip. The layers of identity we have accumulated, the roles, the expectations, the self-judgments, begin to dissolve, revealing the simple, profound truth of our being. This is the nourishment the soul craves, the pure, unburdened experience of existence itself. And in that stillness, we discover its closest companion, silence. Silence is medicine. In our modern symphony of chaos, the endless notifications, the 24-hour news cycles, the constant chatter of the mind, we have forgotten the healing power of silence. We are overstimulated, our nervous systems frayed by a perpetual state of alert. Silence is the antidote. It is not an absence of sound, but the presence of peace. It is the balm that soothes the overactive mind, allowing the mental noise to finally settle like dust. When we intentionally seek silence, we create a sanctuary for the soul. We step out of the river of collective anxiety and sit on the quiet bank. It is here, in the absence of external input, that we can begin to untangle the knots within. We can distinguish our own voice from the chorus of others' opinions. We can feel our own emotions without the need to immediately name, judge, or fix them. This silence is a form of deep listening, not to the world, but to ourselves. It is a medicine that doesn't numb, but clarifies. It heals by allowing what is already whole within us to be heard. And from this foundation of stillness and silence, a new way of seeing emerges. Awareness is food. If a life without stillness is exhausting, and a life without silence is deafening, then a life without awareness is a life unfelt. It is like walking through a magnificent art gallery with your eyes closed. The beauty is all around you, but you do not perceive it. Awareness is the act of opening your eyes. It is the practice of paying attention to the present moment, without judgment. It is feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin, not just noting that it is a sunny day. It is truly tasting the food you eat, not just consuming it for fuel. It is hearing the nuance in a loved one's voice, not just processing their words. Each moment, when met with awareness, becomes rich, textured, and deeply nourishing. This is the food that satisfies the soul's hunger for meaning. The soul doesn't want to just get through life. It wants to experience it, to feel it, to be fully present for the miracle of it all. Awareness is the simple yet profound act of showing up for your own life. There is a story that echoes through time in countless forms. It is the story of a person who spent years chasing success. Let us imagine them. In their youth, they were filled with a burning ambition. They believed the world was a ladder, and their purpose was to climb it. They worked tirelessly, sacrificing sleep, relationships, and moments of quiet joy for the promise of a future reward. They collected all the symbols of a successful life: the prestigious job title, the beautiful home filled with expensive things, the respect and envy of their peers. Each achievement was a brief, fleeting moment of satisfaction, quickly replaced by the hunger for the next one. They were running a race, but the finish line kept moving. They told themselves they were building a life of security and happiness, but a quiet, persistent emptiness began to grow within them. It was a hollowness that no amount of praise or possession could fill. One day, standing at the pinnacle of all they had built, they looked out over their kingdom of accomplishments and felt nothing. The applause sounded distant. The awards on the shelf were just polished metal. The view from the top was lonely. In that moment of stark, painful clarity, they realized they had gained the whole world, but had lost contact with their own soul. The chase had become their identity, and they no longer knew who they were without it. And so, they began a different kind of journey. Not a journey of acquisition, but of release. They started small. They left their phone behind and walked in the woods. They sat by a lake and simply watched the water, with no agenda. They learned to listen to the sound of the wind in the trees, to feel the rhythm of their own breathing. They began to trade the noise of the boardroom for the silence of the dawn. They discovered peace in simplicity. They found that the joy of watching a sunrise was more profound and lasting than any bonus check. They realized that a shared moment of laughter with a friend was more valuable than any networking event. They learned that the feeling of being truly present, of being aligned with the simple, quiet truth of the moment, was the very thing they had been chasing all along. They hadn't needed to climb higher. They had needed to come home to themselves. Their soul wasn't hungry for more. It was hungry for less. Less noise, less striving, less performance. It was hungry for the simple, nourishing, and profound peace that is found not in the chase, but in the stillness. And so, we arrive at the practice. Not a practice of doing, but of being. Not a checklist for the mind, but a homecoming for the soul. We begin with the simplest yet most profound act of nourishment. We begin with presence. This is the art of arriving fully in the space your body occupies, to feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, not just as a passing sensation, but as a direct gift from the cosmos. To truly taste the food that you eat, to feel the texture of the clothes you wear, to hear the symphony of sounds in a quiet room. Presence is the gentle act of closing the door on the 1,000 yesterdays and the million tomorrows, and sitting down in the only room that is real, the here and now. It is the quiet understanding that this moment, exactly as it is, contains all the life you will ever have. It is the foundation upon which all other soul food is served. From this place of presence, another nourishment naturally arises: gratitude. Not the performative gratitude of listing things you have, but the deep, cellular hum of appreciation for what is. It is the quiet thank you for the breath that arrives unbidden. The thank you for the body that carries you, however imperfectly. The thank you for the simple miracle of consciousness itself. Gratitude is not about ignoring the pain or the struggle. It is about allowing your awareness to also hold the beauty. It is the practice of noticing the small, overlooked wonders, the resilience of a weed growing through concrete, the kindness in a stranger's eyes, the simple comfort of a bed at the end of the day. It shifts the soul's posture from one of lack to one of quiet, profound abundance. And with a grateful heart, we find the courage for one of the most liberating acts: forgiveness. This is not about condoning a hurt or forgetting a pain. It is about releasing your own hands from the rope of resentment. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It is the recognition that carrying bitterness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It is the brave, quiet decision to stop replaying the story of your wounds. And this forgiveness must extend, most tenderly, to yourself. Forgive your past selves for not knowing what you know now. Forgive your stumbles, your missteps, your moments of fear. In forgiving, you do not erase the past, but you do release its power over your present. You set your soul free to move forward, unburdened. We nourish the soul by returning to our first home. We find solace in time, in nature. The soul remembers the language of the wind, the wisdom of the trees, the patience of the stones. To walk in a forest is to walk through a living cathedral. To sit by the ocean is to listen to the planet's heartbeat. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. It reminds us of cycles, of seasons, of the truth that even after the harshest winter, spring always returns. It recalibrates our frantic human pace to the steady, eternal rhythm of the earth. In nature, you don't have to perform or pretend. You can simply be. And in that being, you can feel your own roots sinking deep into something ancient, stable, and profoundly real. We are not meant to walk this path alone. The soul is fed by meaningful connection. This is the nourishment that comes from being truly seen and heard by another. It is the sacred space created between two people when guards are lowered and masks are removed. It is not found in crowded rooms or superficial exchanges, but in the quiet moments of shared vulnerability. It is the laughter that comes from the belly, the tears that are met with understanding, the comfortable silence that needs no words. Meaningful connection is the experience of looking at another soul and recognizing a piece of yourself. It reminds us that we are all part of a vast, interconnected web of being. In these moments, we are not just feeding our own soul, but the soul of the world. Finally, all of this is held together by the most intimate nourishment of all: inner honesty. This is the courageous act of telling yourself the truth about what you feel, what you need, what you fear, and what you dream. It is the practice of turning your attention inward, past the noise of expectation and obligation, and listening to the quiet, steady voice of your own soul. It is admitting when you are not okay. It is celebrating your own small victories without needing external validation. Inner honesty is the ultimate act of self-love. It is the commitment to be your own trusted friend, your own gentle guide. It is the alignment of your inner world with your outer actions, creating a life of integrity and peace. Presence, gratitude, forgiveness, time in nature, meaningful connection, inner honesty. These are not tasks to be completed or achievements to be won. They are not another form of striving. They are simply remembrances, gentle invitations to return to the truth of who you are beneath all the noise. They are the ways we feed the soul, moment by moment, breath by breath.